Thank you for tuning in to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, your host and Senior Engagement Officer at Merlin, and we hope you enjoyed this episode from our Merlin X Spaces. Remember, you can catch us live every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. If you want to take your crypto tracking to the next level, don't miss out on our free 30-day trial at merlincrypto.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
All right, guys, I'm going to welcome up onto the stage the speakers. Give me a second. I'm going to play some catchy tunes in the interim. Thank you for joining us today. It's a happy Taco Tuesday. Great to see this X space filling up here. Abs, Johnny, Wendy, thanks for joining. Let's kick things off in about one more minute. Oh, I can see Jeremy's in the house. Right on time for this catchy tune. Hope you're all fist bumping over here, because you know I am. Alrighty, what's going on, my crypto family? Whether the sun's rising, shining, or setting in your corner of the world right now, welcome to this special X Space. My name is Ray Fuentes, and I'm thrilled to be hosting this exclusive session powered by Merlin, where we're changing the game in crypto tracking, or moderating, excuse me. Today, we've got an absolute powerhouse lineup for you. Joining me are the dynamic duo, Abs and Johnny from the Good Morning Crypto Show, plus a special guest, Wendy O, who is going to be up on stage with us, or is on stage with us for a brief and impactful update from her corner of the world. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. We're diving deep into the stuff that really matters, smart exit strategies that could make or break your portfolio, next level management techniques, and share how Merlin is revolutionizing the way we track our crypto. Imagine having your entire digital asset portfolio right at your fingertips, all in one sleek, intuitive app, whether you're team iPhone or team Android. So the stage is stacked with expertise, and we're ready to share some serious insights that could transform your crypto journey. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's kick things off with our amazing guests. The floor is yours, Abs, Johnny, and Wendy. Let's have some fun.
Thank you so much, Ray. I'm excited for this Spaces, and I want to give a special thank you to Wendy O for making time for us tonight. Now, Johnny, we're finally in an environment with a crypto president, a crypto czar, a pro-crypto SEC, and pretty soon a crypto advisory council also at the White House. So I'm excited to get Wendy O's opinion on this. Wendy, I want to give you credit. We used your article a couple of weeks ago where you talked about how Eric Trump had referenced zero capital gains tax on crypto. So hopefully we're going to be addressing that later on tonight. But first of all, I just want to welcome you in. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. And how are you feeling?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a professional space. And thanks for having me. I'm happy to chat for a little bit.
Well, that's awesome. I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Wendy, and good evening to all the Warrior Maniacs out there tonight. We love and appreciate you guys for showing up every single night. And Abs, I am super excited tonight. Like you said, having Wendy on the show to talk about all things crypto. It's going to be a good one. And with that said, brother, I'll kick it over to you.
So, Wendy, I was doing a little bit of research, and I saw that you were a crypto investor dating all the way back to 2017. Right now, I came into this market in late 2019, early 2020, just before COVID hit. And the biggest thing I've realized that's different this time around is people are discussing crypto regulation. So I wanted you to kind of tell us the differences, if you could, some of the things that you've seen that are a little bit different as opposed to 2017, 2021, and here in 2025. To me, it's the discussion of regulation, but what sticks out most to you about the differences this time around?
So for me, I've been in the game a while. I'm nowhere near an OG. There were so many people that were here before me. So big shout out to all the OGs that essentially paved the way. I've always talked about regulation on my channel because it's something that's fascinating to me. Primarily because once I really understood what Bitcoin was, um, and how much power it brought back to the people, regulation do play a big impact because most people don't realize that approximately 85% of Americans are retail investors. And I don't know how global this audience is, but in the United States of America, and I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath. I'm getting dressed and getting ready to head out for the evening. But people don't understand the differences between accredited investors and retail investors. So I'm just going to break that down for you really quickly. I like to refer to those people, well, I'm one of them, as poor and stupid because that's the way that the public servants, the government likes to look at us. And essentially in America, I believe that we do have social issues, but we have more of a wealth gap. And that's really between accredited investors and retail investors. Retail investors make less than $250,000 a year. We have less than 200 or less than $1 million in assets, and you have to apply, do all these different things. And the crypto markets really kind of broke down that barrier because it gave everybody a level playing field. And when I say a level playing field, everybody has equal access to getting money and making, doing well for themselves in an ethical manner. And that can be done through self education. And I think that a lot of times we kind of forget how important self education is and empowerment is within our own communities. And I am a firm believer that the more money people get or more wealth they get, the better access to products and services they get, therefore being able to essentially bring them out of poverty and do really cool stuff within their lives, like breaking generational curses and all that stuff. So regulations have always been something we focused on the channel, just because obviously we have to comply with them, number one. And number two, it's kind of like an ever-changing landscape. And in my personal opinion, where we are in the United States of America, we all have the power to essentially have our voices heard. With the new SEC task force that we have over at the SEC, there's kind of like been an open line of communication now. Like Hester Peirce, she put out an article, and with that article, it gave access or a statement from the SEC, and it gave access for people to leave comments or emails and whatnot. So I went ahead and I've emailed them already, and I've advocated for my audience over 1 million on all platforms to also advocate for themselves and ask for a change in the accredited investor laws because I think that they're predatory. I think it's done to essentially, keep that wealth gap going in America and hopefully have some changes with that. And I am feeling confident that we will eventually get changes, but at the same time, a lot of people that are kind of leading the way right now in the crypto industry, they're all accredited investors. And that's not a slam at people with money. It's not a negative thing. But at the same time, people need to understand, especially retail, and we need to understand that we're not going to get access to the same products and services like MicroStrategy or, folk like companies, these large companies in crypto, unless we make our voices heard and we ask and essentially demand it in a respectful manner. So right now we do have the option to change that in America, and I just hope people don't get lazy and complacent. But again, I voted for Trump. I've been a Trump voter since 2016. People could get mad about that all they want, but at the end of the day, I've always voted to align with my best interest because I'm a firm believer that if you're able to provide for your family or to and succeed there, then that money essentially can trickle down to your community. And I've been able to do that myself. Like, it's a really awesome feeling to be able to have auto pay set up to donate to your favorite nonprofits or charities that are local to you. And I think that everybody else in crypto has the power to do that well, as long as they choose. So regulations are important. The shaping of regulations is even more important because retail does have a seat at the table. We just need to demand it and be a little bit louder about it. And again, if you have not emailed the SEC in a respectful manner, saying, letting them know, hey, we want to change in the accredited investor laws, you should. And it's like I had someone in my audience get mad. They're like, you shouldn't bombard them. It's stupid, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, that's what these unelected bureaucrats or these bureaucrats in public service, they're using our taxpayer dollars to work. And since they're using our taxpayer dollars, we deserve a seat at the table, and we also deserve a say into what happens with these policies. And again, most of you in the audience are probably retail, and it's important to have your voices heard.
Thank you, Wendy. And you made a bunch of great points. Now, first of all, I'm sitting here in a MAGA hat. So we have the Trump thing in common. And we made that shift on Good Morning Crypto because we believe America is the land of opportunity. And the reason for that, and what we've experienced here from 2021 all the way until 2025, was a complete annexing of the crypto market, and it really just hurt regular everyday people like the ones who are listening to this spaces. So that was kind of a defining factor to me. I know for a lot of other people, there's much more important narratives going on, but as a crypto investor, the majority of my wealth is in crypto. That was a defining kind of characteristic of this election cycle. But you brought up something important, which is why regulation changes things. So let's talk about the Bitcoin reserve, or the digital asset reserve, as they're calling it today. Certain communities are advocating for only Bitcoin. We've been advocating for a basket of digital assets because we think that gives you a better chance for success. I'd love to just give you the open floor. What are some of your thoughts? Do you think we're going to see a reserve? And if so, what will be in there from your perspective?
So this is my personal opinion. Like I think I I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. People often call me a shitcoiner and all that type of stuff, which is fine. To me, a lot of altcoins are a vessel to essentially make more Bitcoin and to, to hold on to that or pass down your kids, whatever it is you want to do. It's my tier one thing where I want to continue to hold and pass on my kids. But at the same time, I do believe that there are projects that matter. There's a lot of layer ones out there that do matter. They are able to help improve the quality of life for people. Like I would absolutely love to see the U.S. government spending all be put on the blockchain. I think that that's the right thing to do. I think it's transparent, and I think it's extremely important because at the end of the day, it's our taxpayer dollars is where it should go. And or excuse me, it's where it's exactly what should happen. Like I want to be able to know why schools in Los Angeles County are 3 out of 10s. Like we have one of the biggest economies in America, and there's no reason why I pay so much in taxes to have, to not have good schools. So those are some of the things that I want, that I think. But anyways, as far as the Bitcoin reserve, Bitcoin strategic reserve, I think like we're seeing that being done on a state level. Dennis Porter, I believe he's been able to help 20 states. At least I know 13, not off the top of my head. I don't have my notes in front of me. But at least 20 states right now are have registered or trying to get a Bitcoin strategic reserve on the state level. And then we have the federal level, which includes Senator Loomis and her bill that she wants to pass. I think the reason why, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a legal expert, I'm literally just an idiot on the internet. But I think the reason why they use the verbiage, a digital asset stockpile, was to keep it open. Was to keep it open because it's a lot easier to create laws or introduce them than it is to repeal them. So they wanted to make sure that that was kept open. I think that there's a happy medium for a Bitcoin strategic reserve and then digital asset stockpiles. I don't know exactly, all the economics behind that, but I do think it would make sense to essentially have both because there might be crypto projects that they want to add at a later time that are able to prove their value. But at the same time, they might not do that. What they might do is wait for these companies to wait for different ETFs to launch and add those to the digital asset stockpile, depending on how it's redeemed, etc. Or what they might do is they might wait till some of these companies IPO and add those to the digital asset stockpile or whatever that may be. I do think that there's a place for crypto in the world, crypto and Bitcoin. As far as meme coins go, I don't see a whole lot of value for that to be in a digital asset stockpile today, but that may change. And that's why I believe that they used the specific verbiage, digital asset stockpile. It wasn't to offend anyone. It was just more so politically correct. Because you have to understand, public servants need to cover their bases, and they also need to use friendly language to create an environment for change to happen. And that's exactly what we want. Crypto moves incredibly fast. And if you're not able to move along fast along with it, then you will essentially get left behind. And we've seen that with the crazy meta shifts recently. So I think it's a good way for a politician to use that particular verbiage. And I don't think anyone should be upset about it. If somebody wants a particular thing, like let's say you want a Cardano or Cardano stockpile or top 100 crypto asset stockpile, it is up to the people. Like a lot of people, especially in America, we got lazy, we got complacent, and we like to push this responsibility onto public servants. It's not always the public servant's job. The public servants are supposed to listen to us. So if somebody wants to push for an XRP or the top, let's just say top 100 crypto assets to be in the digital stockpile, you got to put some work in. And these projects also have to put some work in as well. But I think that there's a happy medium for both. And I also think that they will give priority to the coins that are essentially made in the USA, which makes sense because Trump does want to, in fact, essentially make America great again and kind of uplift Americans, which I think is good. I've always been for some sort of regulations. Not that I personally don't need regulations to operate in crypto because I'm a mature adult. I can, kind of govern myself, but at the same time, I understand why that might be needed for other people. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
Thank you, Wendy. We appreciate you giving us the time tonight. And one quick follow-up question on that. So you talked about made in America digital assets, and that's something we've been focusing a lot on since November 5th for two reasons. Those have been the best performing assets from a price chart perspective, but Donald Trump has said on many occasions, as well as the new White House crypto czar, that the goal is to make America the crypto capital of the world. And the way that they can do that is by creating tax-friendly policies that drive innovation within our borders or incentivize people here to actually build and create. Do you have any thoughts on the capital gains rumors and the removal of that? And if we're not going to see that, what would you anticipate as some big changes that Donald Trump and David Sachs could make here in 2025?
So I'm not a CPA. I can't give you like any type of tax guidance. I always refer to my personal CPA, Scott Martin. If you guys are interested in hiring him to do any, consulting or that type of stuff, I highly recommend you get him on the space, and I highly recommend you reach out to him. He's been great to me. I've worked with him for the last couple of years, and he's really simplified my crypto taxes, both business and personal. Me personally, I think that what they are going to do is they're going to instill some sort of laws that are very similar to the existing companies that we have in America that might not necessarily be maybe some of the tech companies. I think that's how it might go. I don't know if it's going to apply to the actual crypto or not, or how the capital gains thing is going to work. And also too, there's state level that people need to focus on as well. So it's going to really kind of depend what type of tax policies happen, or if Trump's going to get rid of the IRS and the Fed. Those caveats matter and they're important. So it's really hard to come up with a scenario as to what that would look like. Number one, I'm not a CPA, and number two, it's really going to depend what the tax landscape is going to look like in America in general. And a lot of people need to understand, especially folks that are not from the US. Right now, I personally believe America is in a recession. I feel that we've been in a recession. The amount of people struggling to feed their families is astronomical. Most people, like all the job support and all that information that comes out, it's not accurate. Those are people that have essentially some of those stats are people that have stopped looking for a job, or taking or have second or third jobs, or part-time stuff to essentially feed their families. So I think that Trump's number one policy is to really help Americans. Crypto is a very, very small aspect of that. And that's why I said quarter one, quarter two, 2025 will be volatile for crypto, because we don't know exactly what we're going to get. And we saw that essentially happen when we heard the tariffs come out against China, Canada, and Mexico, and the entire market's dropped. And we like to call that the Trump dump or whatnot. But I really think it's going to depend on, I think they're going to place their efforts on Americans first, as far as other sectors, and then it'll come back to crypto, which is what Trump has done. He's essentially delegated that to the crypto czar and to the rest of the folks.
Well, that's refreshing. And I want to give a big thank you to Wendy O for making time for us once again. Wendy, any closing remarks or anything you'd like to say? Floor is totally yours. Just a big thank you from me and Johnny. Hopefully, we can have you on Good Morning Crypto as well. Someday, if you're open to it, we would love to have you. But the question that I think everybody is wondering is, are we going to get alt season? Maybe you can give like a yes or no kind of answer. And again, thank you so much for giving us your time.
No, thank you so much for having me up. Yeah, I'd love to come back, come on your show or come back here. And then I also do a space with my partners, Squid Grow and Silent Swap. We have a cross-chain DEX that's multi-chain, and it's all the transactions are completely private. I believe right now we currently have 8 chains there where you can swap. It's an amazing product. A lot of these DEXs, these privacy DEXs, they go through centralized exchanges, but we use Secret Network to essentially facilitate that. It's great, and we'd love to have you guys on there. But are we going to get an alt season? We kind of already have an alt season. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but XRP pumped from like 40 cents to like $3. We saw a lot of altcoins really rise up from the bottom, which is great. Again, each cycle is very, very different. I forget who it was, but someone on stage said that they've been here since 2018, or excuse me, 2019, 2020. And all the seasons are different. Like we're still operating on a 4-year cycle with Bitcoin because the mining economics are important. But the cycles will change. So I think we will have an altcoin season, but then again, if crypto continues to trade like stocks and we have a super cycle, we might not get those crazy pumps that we saw before. Right now, a lot of the betas and with meme coins and the AI agent coins, that is not financial advice, but one thing I think people should be paying attention to is a lot of the AI crypto stuff. And I'm not saying to buy those. I'm not endorsing them in that way. Simply saying to join their communities and kind of learn what they're building and learn what they're doing. A Raider, a really good friend of mine, he's down listening right now, but he's really done a great job of explaining AI to me basically like a Shopify, like how you're able to plug all this stuff in and set it and let it go. That's essentially how AI agents are going to be, and AI is not going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, our crypto czar, he's also the AI czar as well. So I would start paying attention to that stuff and figuring out how to make your life as easy as possible and automate a lot of the things you're doing so you can spend more time with your family. But again, thank you guys for having me. I've got to run to dinner, and yeah, if you guys want to reach out to come on my space or have me back, I'd love to be on. Thank you so much to the audience. Again, you guys, shout out to Merlin. Make sure you guys like, retweet, follow the host, follow Merlin, and yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you.
Hey, Wendy, before you go, this is Johnny. I just want to say I had the pleasure of meeting you at a gala event, and then we also met at Darcy Donovan's red carpet event. So it was great meeting you. We're looking forward to working with you again. Love to have you come on our show, Good Morning Crypto, as well, if you'd like to do that. And folks, if you want to get a demo of Merlin and want to see how it works, check out Wendy's show next week. I believe it's next week, Wendy, or the week after. There'll be a demo there where people can learn more about how it works.
And Johnny, I think something really exciting. Anybody who hasn't heard of Merlin, the reason this is so important is because if you don't take profit at the top, you're going to watch those gains disappear in a bear market. So if you're new to Merlin, you want to learn more, head on over to merlincrypto.com, try it out completely free, create an exit plan for yourself so you can take profit at the top of this market and capitalize on the gains while they're there. One of the things that Wendy said just before she left is that Bitcoin is still running on a 4-year cycle. And if that's the case, we are going to get an alt season, and most likely we're going to see a top and we're going to see a bottom. We're going into an overvalued market. So that is why we talk about Merlin every day. Try it out, 30 days, completely free, and follow the Merlin account to always get exciting updates. Gonzo, I did want to give you a shout out because she brought up AI agents, but the most important thing here is we are going to get an alt season, and many of the projects that we talk about every day are already experiencing that. XRP, HBAR, XLM, Cardano, these are the projects that are most profitable because they're the largest American projects in the market. I don't think it's a coincidence, but I wanted to kick it to you and Mario to get some comments. Then we'll go back to Johnny.
Sorry, Abs, did you get that to me? Because it kind of cut out. You wanted me to go, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's funny when she mentioned AI agents because I feel like I do most of my stuff in the academy, but we were kind of really early to the AI agents thing because I just kind of saw it. I built my thesis, and yes, we've taken a beating in AI agents, but that's what's recovered quickest, right? And that's just the way that it goes. Sometimes when you're further down the risk curve, these things are going to correct. 60-70%. Well, but when the market recovers, like AI16Z was up, I think 100% off the bottom. So it's been a good run, but yeah, definitely do your research on AI agents. But if you remember my presentation that I did at the academy, one of the things we talked about was like, are we in a bull run? And that's why I pointed out, like, if you were holding Bitcoin and you bought Bitcoin at the end of 2022 when the FTX collapsed and we're at 16K, you've been in a bull run this entire time. If you've been accumulating XRP, then your bull run basically got kicked off on November 5th. If you were in other altcoins, like we talk a lot about AOS, which is that AI deepen project, you literally came out of the bear market at the end of 2023 at 1 cent, and you ran that up all the way to 80 cents. And then you came crashing back down to 30, then you ran up to $1.20, and then you came back down to, I think it's like 30, 40 cents. So you've literally in that project run through a bear market, a bull run, and a bear market. And I think that's why Merlin is so important, because these cycles are changing and things are going to move differently, right? And again, you never want to completely sell out of a project, right? I think Wendy calls them moonbags, but you want to take profit. Like if you were collecting AOS at 1 cent, you were up at 80 cents, you should have been taking some profits off the table for that. When we got the other bigger correction, you could either get into something that was a little more safer, like either XRP, could have been accumulating at 40 cents in those times, or some Bitcoin that was way cheaper. But I think that these cycles are going to play out. Not everything is going to move at the same time. They're going to have like little mini cycles within cycles. But I think Merlin's really important because you don't have to sit there glued to your phone. You can set your exit strategies. And then when the price hits, it alerts you. And then you can just sell and take your profit and you can go on your merry way.
I apologize for that, guys. Rookie mistake on my end. Missed the mute button, but I did want to give an exciting update. We are going to be talking to Austin King tomorrow, and we're also going to be talking about Merlin. But Johnny, you know what's funny? I'm looking at the price chart. It's really kind of make or break time here for many of these altcoins. Think about it from the perspective of this. 2017 and 2021, both alt seasons began in mid-February. If we don't get movement in these next 2 weeks, I think it's already going to be a deviation from prior cycles. And that kind of answers the question, is this time going to be different? So I just want to kick it over to you, and then we'll go to Mario.
Well, Abs, first of all, let me give a shout out to Jeremy's abs. He's humping and pumping them abs. I don't know if he's doing a climbing stairs or jogging on the treadmill, but I know he's working them quads tonight. So shout out to your quads, Jeremy. But with that said, Abs, I've always felt, and I've had the unpopular opinion that this is going to be different this year, right? Because there's just so many things that are different. We have a pro crypto president. We have a pro crypto SEC chairman. We have a cabinet member who's a freaking crypto czar. That's never happened before in the history of our country. So why would all these things be different and then crypto's gonna be the same? I just don't see it. I know it's an unpopular opinion and I'm in the minority here, but I just think things are gonna be not the same. Now, how different are they going to be? I don't freaking know. I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell everybody it's different. But you're right. Typically, February is when we typically pump. And, I don't think most people know this, Abs, but if you actually look at the cycles of a pump of any coin, it's typically only somewhere around 3 to 4 weeks. And it typically occurs 3 to 4 times a year. So you only get about 10 to 12 weeks to take advantage of these things. So do I think those are going to go away? Not yet. Once we get regulation, it's going to be different. The liquidity and the way things are going to come in and out of this market is going to change. And when those dynamics change, I think you're going to see the reaction of the prices of these coins are going to change. But for now, where we don't have regulation, it's still going to be wild, wild west. And I think we'll still get some of that, between now and probably, I think we said around the summertime, there's an expectation that David Sachs's crypto crew will have some recommendations for Trump. And then they'll probably have to look at that and digest. Trump will need to digest that and his team and what they want to do. And maybe we get laws sometime in October, maybe September, October timeframe. And that's when I think things can probably start to change. So I think we'll still have a normal, typical bull run this time, somewhere between now and the summer. But then after that, it'll be very, very interesting.
And that's why you got to create your plans now, guys, because if you don't have a plan before the money enters the market, you're going to be overwhelmed with emotion. And we saw a little bit of this in November. We were getting a lot of calls from people who said, we created a plan. We want to change that plan because the sentiment has changed. That is how you get crushed in the crypto market. So when you create your exit plan, meaning you figure out when you're going to be taking profits during the bull run, do not deviate from that plan because sentiment on Twitter has changed. That's just a definitive point you can do to set yourself up for success. But Mario, you've been here since 2017, just like Wendy O, and I think that you can probably speak to this better than most. This cycle is different, not just because of how it feels, but because of what we're going through from a regulatory and adoption perspective. And just as I was asking that question, Mario has exited the chat, guys. So I'm going to have to turn to a different person up here. I'm going to kick it over back to Gonzo, I guess. So Gonzo, when we talk about the differences here, take it from a TA perspective. I was going to rely on Mario for the experience. We'll go to you for the price charts. You showed the weekly chart for XRP, and it seems like there's two sides of the altcoin market. There's about a dozen projects that are trending up, crushing it from a momentum perspective, creating all-time high gains. And then there's another section of this market, which is the majority of altcoins, which are slowly bleeding. And some of these are like Polygon, which is Matic, like we discussed, Litecoin. There's several of them that have just done nothing since November 5th. So I'll kick it over to you while we get Mario connected, and then we'll continue.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this on the show, but when you look at it, I want to say out of the top 25, I think it's the top 25. If you look from when Bitcoin made its bottom, there's only 4 assets that outperform Bitcoin. It's XRP, SUI, Solana, and HBAR, right? That's taking it on the top 25. Obviously, there's always smaller market cap projects that outperform and do better, but usually people kind of stick with those top projects or at least the top 25. What we have seen, this capitulation event that we had like a week ago, when we talk about it's the biggest liquidation event that we had seen in history. And I had called out that we were going to go back to 2.95 trillion because that equalized the market on the daily. Markets always retrace 50%, right? And the move that we had made from November 4th all the way to the top that we had made was going to take us back to 2.95 trillion. But I have to be honest, I didn't think that the altcoins were going to take a pounding like they did. I think the data analytics show that 70% of the altcoin market is below pricing before November 4th. That means that they've given up all of those gains. And that's where I think it's kind of different. We haven't seen this kind of capitulation late in the cycle. We have seen it though before, where you right before you get that true alt season, you get this major capitulation thing where everyone gets tricked. Everyone sells off their altcoins, they go back into Bitcoin, everyone becomes a Bitcoin maxi, and then that's when the market turns around. We just had usually seen it earlier in the cycle. This is very late in the cycle to see it, so that's a little bit different, but it just goes to show that the projects that you're in make a difference, right? So because that's only a handful of projects that have outperformed. Everything else has been crushed. But for me, that's an opportunity, right? If you had a thesis and you did your research and you built like this whole strategy and thesis around a project, just because it melted down, right? You shouldn't change your thesis. Now, if your thesis was wrong and you've invalidated that thesis, then great, you have to move on. But if nothing's changed except for the price, that should be pushing you to build conviction. And it'd be the same thing like we saw in XRP, right? How many years did we stay at that low price range, right? And people made fun of us and they teased us and nobody talked about it. But what did we have? We had conviction. We knew what we held and we held on. And at the end of the day, we were rewarded. It's the same thing with other projects. If you've done your research, you see that there's an actual technology that's being adopted, that there's an actual use case. Just because the price melts down doesn't mean that you're wrong. And if you accumulate that asset at lower prices, and you can bring down your average, not financial advice, but usually when the market recovers, these same projects that were doing really well, they recover and they're the first one to recover. And if you were DCAing and bringing your average down, then you're in the money faster, right? Instead of just holding on at whatever high level entry point you did. Like a lot of people I talked to over the weekend, they came in late 2024, beginning of 2025, and they bought in and they weren't patient. And then now the market liquidated them all the way down, right? Or not liquidated, but it melted down. And now they're down 60, 70%. They could either hold on and wait for the market to recover, or if they really believe, they can DCA, right? And then bring their average down. At the end of the day, you should be investing in projects that you believe in and that you're willing to hold into a bear market, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. Yes, we believe there's going to be an alt season, but we don't know what, people in power or what could happen from one day to the next. That's why you should be okay with you buy a project, you DCA your way down, and if something goes bad, or let's say that the bull run is over, you're okay holding that asset into the long term, right? Because at the end of the day, what you can see is even people that bought tops in 2017 for Bitcoin, they're up on those positions, right? They were up in 2021. People that bought the 2021 top, they're up on that position right now. And just like that, people that buy the top in 2025, in the future, if they wait long enough, they will be up on that position too. So always remember that.
That's a great analysis. And I'm just going to kick it over to Mario because I think Gonzo did a great job of breaking it down. This time is different, but in many ways it could be more optimistic. And we've heard the idea of a super cycle every single time, Mario. Now, I know this is it's only my second cycle, but I know that narrative was circulating in 2017 as well. What are some of the differences versus some of the comparisons that you see right now?
Well, first of all, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing amazing tonight. Tonight for us in America. But yeah, I think Gonzo did a very excellent job at kind of outlining the or doing that analysis on the current state of the market. I think that he was spot on. If I was to add something, I would say that there always is that narrative of this time will be different. If we really stop to think about it, it always is different. Obviously we talk about it from a perspective of, going into bull run, and then you have Bitcoin going first, and then you have like altcoins going next. But this time around, we've witnessed a couple of things that have been different. We saw Bitcoin do a new all-time high before the halving, so that was unprecedented. And leading up to the end of the year, then we saw that the announcement of Donald Trump becoming president, made the space very bullish. And obviously with that, we had the altcoins, the made in USA altcoins also react very, very positively and taking a majority of the market because there was a narrative. So I think it's safe to say that, when we talk about alt seasons, I think that we are moving from an alt season idea, which in my opinion, 2017 was the last time we really had an alt season. And when I say this, I mean all altcoins pretty much did all-time highs back then. 2017, alt season was created because all altcoins created all-time high. In 2021, that wasn't the case. There was a lot of OG coins that did not make an all-time high. So going into 2021, I think I'm sorry, going into 2024, what we saw was we have what I like to call now attention seasons. And so where the attention is going and the narratives, it could also be a narrative season. That's where we're seeing these projects explode and we're seeing do exceptionally well. In 2024, we had, many examples with Solana doing really well with meme coins, and then AI deep in, and in the latter part of 2024 with the USA, made in USA, that kind of created a new narrative season or a new retention season with a XRP, XLM, HBAR, a lot of these projects that at some point in the beginning of 2024, we were wondering, is there going to come a time for them? Because these are solid projects. They have solid technology. They're solving problems. They have strong partnerships. Why aren't they moving? We spent so much time on Good Morning Crypto talking about XRP not moving. We kept poking that rock with a stick and it would just not move. So it finally got that narrative, and the narrative ended up being a made in USA. And so that's what we've been witnessing. And to kind of hone in on Gonzo's point, a lot of these altcoins are down from that November timeframe, but the coins that have kind of exploded since that time, they're somewhat holding their value. I mean, obviously we've had corrections, but they're somewhat holding their value. But the key to all of this, and Gonzo said it, and I keep honing in on his points because I think he did an excellent job, is that you hold long enough and it eventually catches up. And if I was to just add one last thing, it would be going into the latter part of this bull run, because I truly believe that we've been in this bull run already for a very long time. We are closer to the end, in my opinion, than we are to the beginning. It gets to a point where I'm going to be doing a portfolio analysis and I'm going to be saying, all right, I think this thing might be ending soon. So is it worth taking some of these projects into a bear market? Is it not worth taking these projects into a bear market? And so you mentioned, Abs, how right now there's great opportunities with a lot of projects like Chainlink, and I think even Quant. We could consider Quant somewhat pretty low in value compared like to the bear market prices. We could look at it and we could say, man, these projects are just screaming opportunity. Even ETH, even Ethereum. We don't know if there's going to be a narrative behind them, but they're screaming opportunity because they're so low to the lows of the bear market. But at the end of the day, or at the end towards the end of this bull run, we kind of have to look at it and say, all right, do I believe in Chainlink long term? I do, or I don't. And if you don't, you probably have to be willing to let it go, whether you're in profit or not in profit. But at the end of the day, it comes to a decision of whether you're willing to hold it during the bear market. But yeah, just to kind of recap, I do believe that, it is already different, and that we're not necessarily going to get an alt season that sends every single altcoin into all-time highs. I just think it's going to continue to be a narrative season.
It's a great point, Mario. And the biggest difference this time around is that certain projects will survive and certain projects are going to get regulated out of the market here in 2025. Johnny, I'm going to kick it over to you, and then we'll move on to our next topic.
I think you fell asleep, Babs.
No, I didn't fall asleep. My
Someone
phone
pull
fell
the sleep
asleep.
apnea mask off his face, please, and get him back on.
It's funny. It's funny you met.
Johnny's on the treadmill with Jeremy.
No, it's funny that you mentioned the sleep apnea, because I actually was using the boom boom stick just now. I just came in the mail, and it's like a nasal stick, and I just took a deep breath on it. It's like, holy crap, that thing opens you up, man. So there's a free plug for them if you saw them on Shark Tank. But anyway, Abs, I'm sorry. What was the question? Where are we going? I lost all track of it.
Mario made a great point, which is this time is different, and certain projects are going to profit more than ever because they're going to survive regulation, but certain projects are more risky because they may die after regulation. I just wanted to give you a chance to comment.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Matter of fact, you say certain or some. It ain't certain or some. It's going to be most. After we get through regulation, most of these dude. So let me ask the audience, and I don't know if anybody wants to come up and speak, but how many crypto tokens do you guys think are out there today? I mean, I know we don't have any speakers up here, so I guess I'm gonna have to give the answer. Abs, when you and I were going through this in 2021, I remember looking at Coin Market Cap when we were designing Merlin, and we're like, how many coins are out there, right? And Coin Market Cap was showing 12,000 coins. Now, this was like in 2021, 2022. Fast forward to where we are today, dude, there's 1 million tokens added a day. A day. 1 million tokens a day. There's so many tokens coming out there right now that Coinbase said we can't even analyze all these things. We have to find a different way to do this because there's just too many. Because everybody and their mother can just go to Ethereum and go to the website and create and mint a token. It's easy now, and everybody's doing it because everybody's capitalizing on the wild, wild west. Well, so that, my friend, that's going away. That's going to stop, or will be put to an end, I think, once we get regulation that's going to kind of define how these things are going to work, what you can do, what you got to do. If you want to start printing coins or minting a coin, Abs, you're going to have to tell the consumer what you're doing. You're going to have to create disclaimers and, what this thing's all about, not just a fake website and a white paper and then boom, you're done. You have to create disclaimers that the way the SEC operates, right? And those things cost $10,000 to $100,000 to create a set of disclaimers. How many Abs do you think of these people who are creating coins today, millions of coins a day? How many of those guys you think got like 10 grand to 100 grand sitting around that they're going to go and create paperwork to launch a coin?
Well, I guess it depends how many of their community they've rug pulled that week, Johnny.
Here's the thing, my friend. Once we're at that point, you can't rug pull anymore because you can't get it out there, right? Like right now, you're absolutely right. If they save all their money now where they're rug pulling people, then they're going to have plenty of money to create a disclaimer. So basically, the way I see the market happening, the best analogy I could give you, Abs, is I think it's going to be, kind of like segmented the way you have pink sheets or penny mark. So you got like penny stocks, what they call the pink sheets. To me, that's what these memes are going to be. Like that's going to get its own category, its own thing. And whoever wants to play there can play there. And they'll have rules and regulations of how they work. And that'll be there. And people will lose a lot of their money. There'll be like 2 or 3 people that get rich and 100 million people that all lose all their money. That's just how penny stocks and pink sheets work, unless you have inside information, right? And then there's going to be the real world utility tokens. And we were just talking to, if you remember, Abs, the Power guy, the guy from who started or who took over Power, and he was talking about the utility tokens are the ones that are really going to survive, the ones that solve a real world need, like we've been saying all along.
Yo, Johnny.
Right? Yo, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, why do you think they launched that Trump coin and didn't put any utility behind it? Do you think they have a utility coin in the works, the Trump campaign?
No, not at all. No, think about that. That was strategic. When you think about it, right?
Just to bring more eyes, right?
If you think about what David said, well, first of all, a couple things. I think first that was Trump's way to just say, "Hey, signal to the crypto community, I'm here. I'm gonna come out and play." But if you listen to David Sachs 3 days later, he actually defined how they're looking at this space. Because at first, when that first happened, all of us were sitting there like, "What the hell? Why did he do that?" He just created a mess in terms of regulation and how to market this thing, right? That's what I thought at first. But then David Sachs came out and said, no. He said, listen, there's going to be different segments and sectors in the crypto space. There's going to be, your security type tokens. Then there'll be commodity tokens. And then he said the third one, there'll be collectibles. And that's what Trump launched. So Trump's token.
That's what Dave Portnoy is saying right now. He's treating that jail stool like a collectible.
Exactly. So everybody and their mother is going to have a collectible token, right? And that's going to have a certain way that's regulated and created, which will probably be more of what I think the kind of like the penny stock and meme kind of category, right? Or maybe there'll be a separate, complete thing called memes. I don't know. But what you see happening or what you could see forming is they're going to have these different segments. You have a security type, which will probably be, a certain thing where if you're trying to raise money, then there'll be the commodity types. And those will probably be the ones that maybe have real world solve utility plays, which we want that, right? Because if those utility plays have to go through regulation, if they're considered security, then you're going to stifle innovation because those real world utility plays, they're out there, blockchain is trying to solve a real world problem. They're not trying to raise money to then do something. So we don't want to see that happen. So I think you'll have your commodity category, you'll have security category, you'll have a meme category, or maybe a collectible category, maybe 1 or 2 other categories. Who knows? That's what we need to wait and see. And that's exactly what this crypto working group is doing right now. This is what we've been lacking and missing for the past 4 years. And we lost 4 years of this, and we let the rest of the world get a 4-year head start on us because we didn't do this kind of work that needed to be done that we're starting now.
Hey guys, we also have up on stage Charles Tomarello, who I'd love to get his perspective or question. Understanding he raised his hand to come up on stage. Also, we have Alex Damsker in the audience. She is a very talented and well educated lawyer and consultant, specifically focused in Web 2, Web 3. I highly recommend for Alex Damsker to come up onto this stage or show sometime soon in the future. Great to have you here, Alex.
Hey Ray, this is Charles, man. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, I was just wanted to say to Johnny, I looked up on Grok. It said there's 36.4 million of these tokens now in circulation. 36.4. So if Brad's right and 99% of these things go away, we're gonna end up with 400,000 tokens that are legit and 36 million that are gone.
Yeah, actually, Charles, how about them Chiefs? Boy, they got spanked. That's what they get for beating our Steelers, Charles. I had no love or loss for
Right?
them. But I will say this. I don't think there'll be 400,000. I think there may be like 400 real ones that survive. And then the rest, all crap out. But that's okay because we were at the Freedom Conference this week, and I had a chart up there, and Ab shows it all the time on the Good Morning Crypto Show. We have a huge opportunity in front of us because before we get to the utility stage, guess what stage comes before utility? The speculation stage. And guess where most of the money in markets is made before you get to a full launch S curve in the utility side? It's in the speculation stage. So we all have a huge opportunity in front of us to get, generational wealth or create a shit ton of wealth if we invest in the right projects now before we get to regulation. Regulation is going to wipe most of them out.
Well said, Johnny. Real quick, Gons, we've got Alex up on stage. Thank you for joining us, Alex. Your hand is up. Love for you to tune in. And also we've got 15 minutes before we start winding things down. Love your perspective, Alex.
Hey, well, thanks. So I was surprised to see that regulations are here because I was like, what? Did I miss something? Because I usually hold spaces breaking down all the regs and opinions and stuff like that. So I was surprised. I just actually broke down this executive order that came out about the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act that just came out. I was about to go grab my daughter from school, and I was like, "Whoa! This executive order just came out!" And so I held a quick space on that, which I worked on before, so I could do that one super fast. But yeah. So here's the problem. Most of these regs are not going to work. Like Fit 21 doesn't actually work the way it stands, and most of them don't really fundamentally understand the problem with regulation the way it currently exists and tokens, the nature of tokens. And I've been talking a lot about this. And fundamentally, this is such a problem that I'm like hesitant to continue bringing it up because people continue to insist on trying to fit this it's like I don't know, like a hexagonal peg into like a not even it's not even a round hole, it's not even a hole, right? We're trying to fit what tokens are into this regulatory system. And here's really how this problem breaks down. Our regulatory system works on some really clear principles, and they're predicated on this fact that something lives and dies the same class that it is from beginning to end. They're called static assets, right? So a stock is a stock from the day that it's born until the day that it's retired or dies, right? A fiat is fiat from the day that it's minted until the day that it's destroyed. A bond is a bond from the day that it starts until the day that it ends. You can regulate it however you want because what it is fundamentally the same its entire life. But tokens are something fundamentally different. They're shifting assets. And this is the first time we've really seen something that is so fundamentally different from all the other types of assets that we have in the world, right? These things shift not just during a holder's life, right? So I can have an asset that, like Ethereum, can actually, and I wrote a book on this, right? And there's and I break down all the 6 different things that a token can be, and it can be any of those things, and it doesn't depend on what I think it is at the time that I purchase it, right? I may not know what it is after I sell it. An accountant may have to go over what I do with it and attribute an accounting method that determines what it is, right? So I let's say I trade some ETH for an NFT, right? So some of it becomes gas fees, some of it becomes that NFT, maybe some of that, the ETH that I purchased, I actually end up selling on the market. So it actually becomes a bunch of different things. When I purchased the ETH, I don't actually know what I'm going to do with that ETH when I sell it, right? I have no idea whether I'm going to make it a security or whether I'm going to make it something that's a transactional fee or whether I'm going to make it something that's more like fiat, like money, whether I'm going to make it something that's more like a product. You know, there's a bunch of different things that I could do with it that I may or may not know. And not only does it change with the holder, it changes between holders. So then the next person that receives my ETH may use it for something completely differently, right? So they may take it off the market. They received it as a security off of a market, but then they end up using it to purchase a product, right? So they use it as fiat and then it turns into a product. So it can then convert into something else, right? So it's a shifting asset. It can be multiple things to multiple people simultaneously, right? That's fundamentally what this thing is. So here's our problem. We have a regulatory system that says you have a thing, and this regulatory organization is going to regulate how that thing moves through a system for its life. But we have tokens which fundamentally change by user over time, between users, things like that. So the way that applying this to the regulatory system that we have, that would mean that every regulatory system that governs any of the transactions that would occur, and there's like 7, they'd each have to go over every single transaction that occurred on every blockchain in order to determine whether or not their rules apply. And that's millions of transactions per day, right? That makes 0 sense. So, the regulatory system that currently applies to static assets doesn't work for shifting assets. Does that make sense?
That definitely makes sense. Alex, I don't think I've ever had the chance to hear you speak before, and you're saying some very interesting things that I'd never considered. What do you think would be a solution? Is there a regulatory body capable of kind of dealing with that, or would that have to shift from one regulatory body to the other as the asset changes?
So here's what I would do fundamentally. There's a couple of ways you can deal with this, and there's the first thing that I would do is really you have to combine these two groups. So right now, what we have is a presidential working group that just has the regulatory bodies, right? Which is the same thing that Biden did. Then you have this crypto working group that includes people from crypto and also includes Congress people, right? And that I believe is held under the Finance Committee, right? It's this bicameral thing, this, House and Senate combined thing. These two things need to talk to each other. They shouldn't be separate groups. It makes no sense for them to be separate groups. What we need to have really is a combined discussion saying, here are the transactions that we have, here are the regulatory groups that we have, and the general concerns that we have. And really, what we have is a bunch of issues that happen temporally. Fundamentally, really, the idea of Fit 21 is actually a very good idea, which is at some point you do achieve a level of what do you like what is that called, uh like like trustability, right? There's some point where you've gained some sort of credibility. That's what the word I'm looking for. You gain a point of credibility where enough transactions have occurred. There are enough nodes that exist. There are enough validators or miners or something, right? There's enough people working on the chain that very likely the likelihood that they're all working together is very, very low, right? It may not be fully decentralized, but there's enough people that working together that the idea that there's some sort of acting in concert is unlikely to happen. There's even like a percentage in Fit 21 that says, here's the, like you can't have this many people, like it's 20%, right? So like you can't like you can't have like more than uh, ownership can't be concentrated in 20% of the people. You can't actually kick out a person. You can't stop a person from entering or leaving. Nobody has the power to do that. So you don't have a founding team that has control in any shape or form. And we'd have to clarify what that means, right? We'd have to clarify that means that control of the wallets, control of the tokens, control of voting rights, all of the major bottlenecks of centralization, all of those things don't have some nexus point where someone can say, you don't get to be part of this system, you do get to be part of this system. So there's not that nexus of control. And then there's some point, and they call it decentralization. We can call it that. It doesn't have to be, that name is very, sort of amorphous. We don't know if that's really decentralization, but it's decentralized enough. There's enough people on the system. Really what we want is a history of enough transactions from enough people that we don't have this fear that this is just a bunch of internal transactions that are all basically front running each other essentially, and there's gaming the system that's going on here, and then someone is going to con everybody out of something, right? So enough real life stuff is happening here that we understand this is a real system. Once that happens, a different set of rules applies, right? Where the rules aren't really as necessary because no one is controlling this thing. It's really the period before that we're worried. After that, we're not really worried about this system. I mean, I don't think that there are many people that are worried about the governance of Ethereum or Bitcoin, right? I mean, there aren't many people who are sitting there going, "Well, we have to watch every single transaction that happens on here because, I think each of these transactions might be, a security or something." I don't even think that concern really exists on Solana or any of these, the larger systems that are growing. I think it's really this point in time, these beginning transactions that are happening, and not just on chains, but on projects that are happening to make sure that they're legitimate. It's this period where it's like, look, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. I don't know that you're a legitimate project. You don't have credibility yet. So it's in this pre-credibility phase that we have to work. And there, I think we can just generate a set of rules that exist just in that pre-credibility phase while that's running. And in that way, I think that we can, there's a set of rules that I think we can agree on that don't require us going over every single transaction. And I think that is going to be a way for us to essentially be able to both move forward and generally protect investors and other people moving forward. I think that's kind of like how I would look at it.
Hey, we've got a hand raised by Deflationary Doge. Great input, Alex. Thank you.
Yo, yo, what up? Thanks for having me up, Merlin. Yeah, I was just interested in this space listening to you guys and all the different like tokenomics and coins and how everything's been tried. And I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a project out there that is like a way for us to store our ETH while fighting inflation, and it's a meme all at the same time.
Thank you for sharing, sir. Hey, to those
Yo,
up on those up on the stage, to those up on the stage, let's wind this space down. We've been up at this for the past hour. Gons, you're doing, or Abs, you're doing an incredible job. Gons as well is up on stage. Mario, Alex, Johnny. Any last final comments before we start winding things down?
Well, I want to give a big thank you to Alex because I thought that was a phenomenal breakdown. It gave me a lot to think about because what we've been talking about on our show, we do a daily kind of Good Morning Crypto show, and we got to meet some of the representatives in Washington a couple of weeks ago, like French Hill. And during that discussion, he had made it very clear that his intention was in the first 100 days passing Fit 21, which I believe the main objective is to remove the power from the SEC and hand it over to the CFTC. And what you basically stated is, yeah, that's like putting a band-aid on a massive wound, right? It's not a real solution. It's more of a patch job. So I know for me personally, it gave me a lot of good insight to think about. And I just want to say thank you to Alex. I also want to give a big thank you to Wendy O, but Johnny, Gonzo, Mario, and of course our phenomenal moderator, Ray. Ray, you're the best in the business. Everybody knows that. So thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. If you want to learn more about Merlin, it's completely free, 30 days. Head on over to merlincrypto.com and create a plan for yourself so you can profit during the bull run. With that being said, anybody have any closing words? If not, I'll kick it back to Ray.
Abs, before you kick it over to Ray, I just want to ditto what you said about Ray. I thought Jeremy was a great moderator. I think Ray just took the title away from him. He's really good. We may have to have a moderator battle on the next one. Also, shout out to Wendy O for coming out and talking about, talking with us a little bit tonight. And to Alex. Alex, I just followed you. And if you can follow me back, we'd love to talk more to you and have you on. And, I say to everybody in the audience, please follow all the speakers up here. Gonzo, Mario, Alex, Ray, Wendy, and of course, the greatest host in the world, Abs. So if you can't follow us, guys, you can catch us every day, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Good Morning Crypto. But for Merlin, smartest way to track your crypto, as Abs said, we created it for you guys to help. 30 days free. Click on the link and try it out. And you can cancel anytime you want inside the app. And best part, we don't own your keys or your coins, and you get alerts when it's time to sell.
I do just want to point out, and thank you guys, I appreciate it. And I did follow you. And I just wanted to point out with the CFTC thing. I did try to reach out to everybody from that press conference. I held a space right after the press conference, and because I'm very concerned about what they're planning on doing, and the education that's happening right there, because I don't know that the education is sufficient personally. I look. I honestly tried to call all the offices, and I don't have any connections on the Hill or anything like that. And I was like, I have to help you. I said, look, people pay me a lot of money for me to do stuff for them on Web3. I've been in blockchain since 2016. I advise a lot of companies. I was like, people, like, I'll do this for free. I'm going to help you guys out, but I got to tell you, you guys don't, you need to understand how this stuff works. I don't think that you understand it. And here's the problem. It's going to cost about I think the most recent estimate was 2 to 4 billion to bring the CFTC up to the level that all the requirements in Fit 21 require. So first, there's a huge cash requirement attached to that Fit 21 that I don't think people understand. And the other thing is, what people want, what people like about the CFTC is that it's so small, it can't afford to do good oversight. That's why people like the CFTC, right? Oh, it's basically very low oversight, right? Because there's so few people, it's so small. Well, to do what's required in there, they're basically building a bigger, badder SEC. That's what they're doing. That's what's required to do that stuff. So you're building your own monster by building what's in Fit 21. I don't know that people actually see that. And that's not actually going to help, because it's going to just institute the same problem system that I don't really know that calling everything a commodity versus calling everything, security, that doesn't fix anything. That doesn't fix the issue at all. And we need to figure this out now, because the next technology that's coming up, and it's already here, right? We've got quantum resistance already, but quantum computing is coming out of the labs right now, and that is going to layer shifting the nature of a shifting asset onto a bunch of different technologies. So think about the fact that assets that sit right now, we're moving from, like, this is what crypto really does, is basically give us the possibility of making assets out of everything. So our economy right now is debt based. What DeFi really does, right? Decentralized finance is finance without banks. It's not the big giant mess that we have right now. It's the ability to finance or turn anything into assets and base our economy on assets. Well, quantum computing is going to basically allow us to put that shifting nature of assets, that shifting nature, like that, what I told you, like things can turn into anything. Quantum computing is going to allow us to do that to basically anything we want. So it's, you can't just have a token, right? You need tokenization plus quantum computing to do that to more things. But that's going to have shifting nature on everything. If we don't figure this out with tokens, we're going to be really screwed by the time quantum computing comes on. So we need to figure this out now. And I just would really like for us to be able to have a plan of action going forward, so that as shifting things come forward in the future, which is that is the future, we'll be able to handle it and have a plan of action for either static or dynamic assets.
Well said. Any final inputs from anyone else up on stage? Mario, Gons, Johnny? Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to actually do a quick plug. Alex, it's always incredible to have you, or just to listen from you. Your perspectives are well received, and I believe that you are always hovering above the target. I pinned up in the nest here a link to an X space we're hosting next Monday. On, I'll be hosting an XRP family meetup in Silicon Valley, and we're going to be, while we're present in the physical event, we're going to host a X space, which is going to allow some of the uh, top, I would say, community members from the XRP community and beyond to share their perspectives of what's going on, in the landscape. Would love to have your input. It's only going to go from 6:15 p.m. till 7. Meanwhile, the physical event starts at 5:30 and will go to about 7:30. So just trying to basically bridge the IRL to the virtual landscape. Would love to have your participation if your schedule permits. But with that being said, what a great chat! This Merlin family just keeps on growing. We had over 120 live members today in the X Space. So congrats to everyone up on stage and those in the audience. I've got massive props to our brilliant speakers who shared their insightful perspectives: Johnny, Abs, Gons, Mario, Alex, and of course the world-renowned Wendy O. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you to those who came up and asked questions or provided their input. If you haven't already, smash that follow button for Merlin and everyone else up on stage. And to every single one of you who joined us, you're what makes our Merlin family absolutely special. You showed up ready to learn, engage, and just have a blast. And that's exactly what this crypto culture is all about. So Merlin is your trusted application that offers one secure web app for all your wallets and exchanges, a smart exit strategy tool so you never miss the perfect selling moment, fresh features dropping like their news integration and merch. And here's a little secret: Merlin's referral program is live. So share your link, get your friends on board as paid subscribers, and boom, you're getting a free month of Merlin magic. Catch Merlin across the digital universe, the right here on X, which is at Get Merlin Crypto. On LinkedIn, we're always keeping it professional. Instagram and Threads, it's at Merlin_crypto, or dive straight into Merlin at merlincrypto.com. Lastly, don't forget to set your reminder for Good Morning Crypto Show, Wednesday, February 12th. That's tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, featuring Austin King, a gifted entrepreneur who sold his first company to the fintech giant Ripple Labs. So the link is, again, pinned in the nest above. love. You don't want to miss this episode. And now let's end this space the only way we know how, with some smooth vibes. Thanks for being a part of the Merlin family. Until next time, keep tracking smart and staying sharp. Love you mucho. Great work today, ladies and gentlemen. This outro song is dedicated to Jeremy, the one and only.
I can see Jeremy doing squats to this right now.
He most definitely is. Those calves are so strong right now.
Pumping and pumping them calves. I love it.
Great job today, Abs. Great job, Johnny. You guys are always just hovering above the target and just providing wonderful perspectives. Love you mucho. Have a happy Taco Tuesday, all. Thanks for joining us.
Love you, Ray. Great job.
Best in the business, Ray.
Just chasing your coattails, Abs.
Them's just some long coattails, bro.
Almost as long as that beard.
I'm speechless, Ray. I'm speechless. Love you guys.
Oh, that's what that thing's called? That thing's called the beard? I was wondering what that thing was called.
Or a wizard sleeve. I
Some
don't know.
call it a lion's mane. Some call it a beard. It's up for debate.
I like a wizard sleeve. I like that's pretty good.
All right, guys. See ya. Love mucho.
Ciao.
Thank you for tuning in to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, your host and Senior Engagement Officer at Merlin, and we hope you enjoyed this episode from our Merlin X Spaces. Remember, you can catch us live every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. If you want to take your crypto tracking to the next level, don't miss out on our free 30-day trial at merlincrypto.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.